Welcome everybody to today's lesson. Today is Wednesday, May the 14th, and this is an article from yesterday, the 13th of May, 2025. DC man, and they mean a Washington DC man, Washington DC, the capital of the United States. A DC man suffers terrifying rare bleeding disorder after COVID vaccine booster. Now we'll look at which bleeding disorder he suffered from after having this questionable medicine, and you all know it, and so you all know what this rare bleeding disorder is. I'm sure that you have all heard of this disorder. So a Washington DC man was left excessively bleeding due to a rare side effect, very rare, linked to his COVID vaccine booster. The unidentified man, who is in his 70s, went to the hospital after he saw blood in his stool. Now, stool, yes, it can mean chair sometimes, but when you're talking about medicine, when you're talking about patients, your stool is when you go to toilet, yeah? It's not your urine, it's the other one, it's your stool, and so it's like feces, excrement, yeah? And that's what they're talking about when they say after he saw blood in his excrement, yeah? He saw blood in his stool after he went to toilet. And he believed it was due to the colonoscopy that he had had the day before. Notice I say had because it's earlier than all of the events in that sentence. And so really past perfect is better. So he believed that it was due to the colonoscopy that he had had the day before. But while examining him, doctors also noticed large dark bruises on both of his arms that had developed within the span of a few days. So that means within the period of a few days. Notice we say lifespan for the whole period of your life, and so that's why you can say within the span of a few days. So suddenly they notice these large dark bruises, which obviously don't sound good. So when did they appear? Well, tests revealed that he was suffering from haemophilia. Yeah, and this is a disease which I think everybody has probably heard of before. Haemophilia is a well-known disease. There have been some famous people in history who were haemophiliacs. And so tests revealed that he was suffering from haemophilia A, where the body prevents blood from clotting. Okay, so it's another side effect related to blood clots, and perhaps this explains why at least 20 different countries banned this questionable, safe and effective medicine right from the beginning, causing excessive bleeding from wounds for days at end. So this poor man, this poor patient, who probably listened to all of those medically unqualified people who told us all that this medicine was safe and effective, well, they're now suffering. This prolonged bleeding can cause blood to accumulate beneath the skin, forming a bruise, and make the body more susceptible to injuries. Yeah, if you're more susceptible to something, you're more vulnerable to something, and so it makes the body more susceptible to injuries. In this particular case, since the patient had sustained wounds from a colorectal procedure, I wonder if it was colorectal cancer, because we have read about that recently in relation to strange, safe and effective medicines that have been promoted to the population for the last 4 or 5 years. They were mostly bleeding internally, and the blood was only visible in their stool, in their excrement. So the patient had no family history of haemophilia, of the condition, and was not actively bleeding, according to a medical report about his case. However, they traced his symptoms back a week after the elderly patient had received his Moderna COVID vaccine booster, marking it as his 5th shot. So this was the 5th time that he had had the safe and effective medicine. Okay, this was the 5th time. I'm not sure why he took it 5 times. I know a lot of people that have never taken this medicine, myself included. The experts theorized that it was possible the shot triggered his immune system to produce antibodies against his body's clotting process, and that caused a disorder. Typically, mRNA vaccines work by prompting the immune system to produce SARS-CoV-2 spike proteins to attack the COVID virus in the body through a piece of genetic code. However, in this case, doctors believe that it may be possible that the vaccine also made the body stop recognizing its own cells as safe and began developing antibodies against the clotting process. Okay, so again we have side effects related to blood clots. Okay, and if anyone wants to read the rest, I'm a little bit busy today, so I'm not able to, but please go and read the rest, read the comments as well, and you'll hear what people think about this safe and effective medicine.